Hello, my dear students. This is Dr. A.K. Tyagi, and as you all are aware that we are discussing labor law second paper, and under that head today we'll discuss the Employees Compensation Act 1923, which is given under Unit 4 of your syllabus, and this is video lecture number 30. So this is an introductory lecture about the Employees Compensation Act 1923. So this Employees Compensation Act 1923 is one of the very important social security legislation, and this act, the Employees Compensation Act 1923, aims to provide financial protection to the employees and to their dependents by providing the compensation in case of any accidental injury occurs to an workman and means during the employment. So when there is an accidental injury occurs during employment, then employees will get compensation. And because these injuries may result in either death or disablement of the worker, so how then this employee will survive? So the object of this act was to make the provisions for the payment of compensation by certain class of employers to their employees for injury by the accident. And the Employees Compensation Act 1923 provides for payment of compensation to workmen in case of personal injury caused by accident or certain occupational disease arising out of and in the course of employment and resulting in disablement or death. And there were certain amendments also in this act. So the objective of the Employees Compensation Act is, or this act mentions that it is the duty and responsibility of the employer to include the welfare of the workers when an injury is the result of the employment while he was on employment, right? And means in the same way, the employer has the right of making the profits. So the fundamental objective is to provide broad coverage of employees for job-related accidents and disease, and workers' compensation laws should cover most occupations or accidents or disease which are job-related. And the other important objective of this act is to provide the protection against the loss of income, because see, if something goes wrong with an employee and if he or she is not able to perform because of the injury, because of the disablement, because of death, then how dependent will survive. So the cash benefits are designed to restore a substantial portion of the disabled workers for their lost earnings, and so that these disabled workers previous standard of living can be maintained what they are about to lose because of the disability or because of the death. And a third on the important objective of this Employees Compensation Act 1923 is to provide sufficient medical care and rehabilitation services to injured workers. So, I mean, if anything goes wrong with the employee, any accident, then how the worker will survive, how the employee will survive. So, the very important and other objective of this act is to provide sufficient medical care and rehabilitation services to the injured workers. Employees' compensation laws require employers to pay hospital, surgical, and other medical costs which incurred by injured workers, and provide for rehabilitation services to disabled employees to help them be restored to productive employment. And definitely the objective of this workers' compensation is to encourage the firms to reduce or to have a check on the job-related mishappenings, job-related accidents, and to develop effective safety programs, effective safety measures, so that we can have a check on the job-related accidents. And firms with the superior accident records pay relatively lower workers' compensation because they know that we are not maintaining the security measures or we are not following proper security measures. So these kind of firms, they relatively pay lower worker compensation. And above all, the workers' compensation laws are designed to reduce litigation, and the disabled workers are paid benefits promptly without requiring them to sue their employers. And the ultimate objective of this act is to reduce the amount of cases held in court, which would help to reduce or to eliminate the payment of legal fees to the attorneys. Because see, once any worker or employee is just meeting with an accident, then he has lost his or her job because of the personal injury or because of the death. So how the dependents or how the worker will arrange the payment of legal fees for the attorneys. So this is again very important objective of this act. And the employer should have certain duties and obligations for the welfare of the workers. And because if there is an injury during the employment, in the same way, they have, the employers have the right to make profits, and the act aims to see workmen have a sustainable life after an employment-related accident. So now we just throw some light on the aspects of the workmen compensation. So this act has its basis on two aspects: theory of least cost and the pre-production cost shall have the cost of blood and workmen. Social security offers to ensure compensation is paid to a disabled or the injured person, and the compensation paid to a workman by an employer when an accident occurs is a relief, and it's a kind of social security measure provided by the act. And this act is recognized all over India and applies to all workmen and casual workers in factories, plantations, mines, transportations, railways, ships, construction work. And this act is not applicable to the people in armed forces. So this is all about the introduction of the Workmen or the Employees Compensation Act, my dear students. And this act was, applicable to employees of certain specified industries earlier. And with the progress of the time and change in the standard of living in the society, the act has on many occasions been modified so as to benefit greater number of employees and to provide for payment of greater amount of compensation to them. So this is all about the introductory part of the Workmen Compensation Act. My dear students, you please go through this act, and this deliberation will definitely help you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care.